Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Lowell. I was born in Lowell, Massachusetts.
And were your parents around there too, or?
No, my father, when he came from Russia, resided in Lowell.
Mm-hmm.
His father came earlier and brought the family over.
Mm.
My mother also came from Russia, but she came from Roxbury, Massachusetts. Well, I'm not sure of the year. My mother was around 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like
that
around...
was in the late 1800s.
Mm.
He had a shoe store and a cobbler store. He fixed shoes also. And I also worked in the store when I was a kid, quite young, and I used to help out. And when the war was on, I was selling shoes at that time also.
Did they have any girls' sports at your school, or was it still dominated by boys?
There were no girls' sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I know in high school, they did. They played, I remember they played Lawrence High School. They played baseball and football.
Did you work during the summer? Did you have a job?
I also worked one summer for Educator Cracks.
What's that?
They made cookies with marshmallow tops. They made crackers, and they were around the corner from our store, down another street.
Mm-hmm.
And so during the summer, I had to be at work very early. I think I had to be at work at 7 o'clock. It was, I can't remember the exact amount, but I know it was in the 20s, 20-something dollars a week. And when the war was on, I was selling shoes at that time also.
Did you find there was a larger demand during the war than before?
Business did pick up on, that was unusual, because people were running out of shoes and they needed shoes that were not made, where the soles were not made of leather.
Mm-hmm.
They could go into a store and buy them. Otherwise, they had to have a coupon of some sort to buy. They had to get it from the city.
Oh, so they had like almost like a food stamp, so you could...
That's it. Same idea, to buy shoes.
Yeah.
Leather was scarce.
Do you have any memories of the war where you heard the news of like Pearl Harbor or anything?
Well, my friend and I went to see a movie at the Keep Theater.
In Lowell?
In Lowell. We were supposed to, I think that it was the Trapp family that was performing at the Lowell Auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
And she was always late in coming, and so we missed going there. The doors were locked, we couldn't get in. So we went to the theater instead, to the movie theater. And as we were buying the tickets, a man ran over to the girl at the ticket counter and said Pearl Harbor was just bombed, just attacked. We didn't know anything about Pearl Harbor.
You know where it was?
No, we went into the theater and he said, I wonder what that's all about. And so after the movie, they stopped the movie actually. And the manager came out and said Pearl Harbor was just attacked.
Hmm.
And when we came out of the theater, the boys who were selling newspapers were running through the streets yelling, Pearl Harbor was attacked. And then we read about it afterwards.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air, President Roosevelt has just announced. The attack also was made on all naval and military activities on the principal island of Oahu.
We knew nothing about what was really going on in concentration camps.
Mm-hmm.
So we had no knowledge about that. We knew that it wasn't good for the Jews,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't know what they were doing to them.
Mm-hmm.
And
So you knew who Hitler was?
I believe we did.
Mm-hmm.
But
What was your family like?
my mother had 5 brothers, and I felt very close to them. On holidays, during the summer, I would go to my grandparents' home in Roxbury, Massachusetts. They had a lovely big house, and I would stay there. My uncles, when they came home from work, would take me to a place we called it the Blue Hills, and for swimming.
What would you do on like a Sunday?
Well, on a Sunday, my uncle Joe and his wife Aunt Bessie would come down with their 3 children from Boston. They lived in, I believe it was Dorchester, Massachusetts. And they would come down. My aunt would bring meat and vegetables, and my mother, the 2 of them would cook up a great meal, and we'd all sit around the dining room table and eat. And my uncle, who lived downstairs from us, he would come up, and the men would go into the den and play cards, and the women would clean up. And my cousins, one of them was my age, one was a few years younger, and we would all be together. It was a nice family life, and
So most of your enjoyment was from your family. That's where
we always looked
everything-
forward.
Yeah.
And then I was always looking, this was my father's side of the family, but we were also looking forward for my mother's side of the family. They also would come down, and it was always great seeing them.
So the men were in the other room playing cards, and were they smoking?
Oh, yes. Uncle Joe and Uncle Arthur would smoke cigars. My father and I think Uncle Ben were cigarette smokers. My father used to smoke Camels.
Mm.